And hello again, everybody. Welcome into the VIBELAND studios. Hard to believe it is episode 20 of our little weekly sports podcast. I'm Todd Miller, joined by KP and Casady Fletcher. Hi, guys. How are you?
Oh, I can't complain, Todd. It's a great evening. I can't believe we've done this 20 nights now. It's a good time.
And we still seem to get along, Casady.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it's been a great time so far. We just hit a big milestone on the Bible as well. Episode 50 there, episode 20 here. So just hitting all kinds of milestones here at VIBELAND Media.
And again, 20 episodes in. If you have not subscribed on Apple Podcast or Spotify, shame on you. If you have not yet followed us on our social media apps, you can do so. Facebook, VIBELAND Sports, and on Twitter and Instagram at VIBELAND Sports. All right, we're going to confess something right out of the chute. Last week, we had a fan poll question of the week. But when you deal with technology, guys, sometimes things just don't quite work out. We're going to repeat it this week, and it really is still timely. The question last week was, which former Oklahoma City Thunder player do you dislike more? And they're playing head-to-head right now. Is it A, Kevin Durant, or B, James Harden? That will be up on our Twitter account at VIBELAND Sports. We promised this week, and we want to hear what you think. I think it's a great question, guys. Who do you dislike more, Kevin Durant or James Harden? I think I know who's going to win. And I think it's just sour grapes as to why he's going to win.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, my grapes are getting less sour about that, though, as time goes on.
Mine are too, KP, because I said a couple months ago that the Thunder really are in decent shape with Paul George and Russell Westbrook. It's time to let him go. I mean, the guy right now is the best player on the planet. Do I like the way he handled things with the Thunder? Absolutely not. Do I think he's a skin-thin person? You better believe I do. But, guys, there's better ways to use your energy than to continue to hate on Kevin Durant 2 years later.
Does it make me feel a little bit better that he's about to leave another team?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. And look, my whole thing, again, it goes down to it was all the way that it was handled, where he went, the fact that he didn't even tell Russell Westbrook. That still does not sit well with me.
Yeah.
Because you know how hard that I'm gonna be fighting for Russ. So if you disrespect him, it just makes it that much worse.
Sadly enough, Kevin Durant was a hero to many, but sometimes you see the other side of your heroes and they're not quite as rosy as they appear to be initially. Kevin Durant, I think, falls in that category for a lot of us Oklahoma City Thunder fans. Again, the fan poll question of the week. We asked it last week because of technology glitches. We didn't get it posted, so we're going to ask it again. Which former Thunder player do you dislike more? Is it Kevin Durant or is it James Harden? Let's go ahead and go straight to that topic, okay? Let's talk about the Rockets and Warriors series. Very, very interesting. James Harden physically has been abused by Draymond Green. I will tell you this, what little I have watched of it, I am tired of the Rockets whining about NBA officiating. Welcome to 2019. Every other team in the NBA and their fans bitch about the officiating. It's not any worse in the playoffs than it is 82 games. I have said this forever, guys, that if the NFL or Major League Baseball was officiated as poorly as the NBA, there would be a huge outcry, a lot more than there is with the NBA. I'm sorry, James Harden, that you don't get to the foul line 20 times now. This is the one team, and we said this last week, you guys can agree or disagree, the one team that the Houston Rockets and James Harden will not get calls because it's the Golden State Warriors.
I agree completely. I mean, it's been playoff basketball. You've seen the physicalness between Harden and Draymond Green, and I'm kind of starting to enjoy it, though. I mean, it's fun to watch without having a dog in the fight because, I mean, watching this series, if you're a fan of either team, has got to be the most stressful thing ever, especially with how it's gone. It looked like the Warriors were going to just run away with it, and then the Rockets are now even in the series, or, I mean, before Game 5, we see that after we record. But yeah, it's playoff basketball, so I am we've talked about before, I just don't like watching the foul drawers like that. I get it, it's part of the game, but like I want to go see dudes get buckets and score. And the basketball I grew up loving was Michael Jordan hitting the big shots, not hitting the big free throws, you know? And there's a guy on the court right now that's doing that. And that's why, back to the poll question, it's my answer is changing a little bit. I hate it, but I'm liking to watch Kevin Durant play basketball again. Those pull-up jump shots that, I mean, they meant a lot more a few
Smooth.
years ago when they were just. I remember watching him develop here in Oklahoma City and just thinking, what a smooth jumper that is. This guy's going to be a killer. And he is, and he's showing it out on the biggest stage in the biggest moments. But yeah, what a great series. I hope the refs don't become the story of this series. It needs to be the good basketball that's being played.
Kevin Durant is now the best player in the world. I don't care what anybody says, like him or not, he is the best player in the world. He's always been the best scorer, but now he's the most complete player, in my opinion, in pro basketball. Cassidy, having said that, I will always look at the Golden State Warriors as Steph Curry's team. I don't care how many finals MVPs Kevin Durant wins, and he's probably going to win his third straight before it's all said and done. But Steph Curry has somewhat disappeared in this series with the Houston Rockets.
We see this happen to him every once in a while. I feel like when his shot just isn't quite there, he just falls apart as a player. He's so used to having his range extend to almost 35, 40 feet at times that I think when some of those don't go in and he still starts to pull them, it does something to him mentally because then he starts making mental mistakes. He doesn't even look like an all-world player right now. He looks like
average.
a bench guy. Yeah, I mean, it's not just the scoring. It's kind of just the way that he's played on both ends of the floor. He seems indecisive, which I've never really seen that from Steph before. So something's going on. I don't know if it's in the Warriors locker room or if it's the Rockets are really just presenting that much of a challenge for him. But regardless, right now, Steph is not showing up. Clay has kind of been hit or miss a little bit as well. And if it wasn't for KD, they might not be in as good a position as they are.
And I feel like with Steph Curry, especially as an opposing fan, we're just always used to seeing those shots go in. And it's just, you wonder, I remember watching the series years ago and just think, when are they going to miss? Well, it took them 3 years, but they're finally cooling down, it seems like. Let me tell you some interesting stats I saw today, guys. Now, I will say I did see this from, got to admit, a pretty Thunder Homer account. So let's take this with a little bit of a Thunder grain of salt here. But they did a little comparison of the last 4 playoff games that these two individual players have played. And that one being Steph Curry, one being Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook had averaging 22.5 points. Steph Curry, 21.3. Westbrook was shooting 36.7 from 3. Curry shooting 26.1. Russell Westbrook shooting 15% better from the three-point line than Steph Curry. That's all you need to know.
That's absurdity.
I can stop right there if you want me to. Curry's shooting a better overall field goal percentage by 5%, shooting 39%. And then, of course, Westbrook averaging twice the amount
But
of
there's a reason
assists.
why Russ gets beat up. Russ is not Steph Curry shooting a jump shot. And the other thing is, despite the fact, and I know why they are winning, but despite the fact of Steph's problem shooting, Golden State is still winning. When Russell Westbrook was shooting what he was, Oklahoma City is not winning. Now, he doesn't have the cast around him that Golden State has around Steph Curry either. But I can see why they do beat up Russ. But you're right. It doesn't matter what Steph Curry and the Warriors do. They're forever the golden child of the NBA with the national
Exactly.
media.
100%.
And I think that's what I wanted to talk about on this podcast is that I think Steph's getting a little bit of a pass. And I don't want to say rightfully so. It's just, like you said, this team is just full of superstars. So years ago before KD was there, your core, your guy is having as bad of a series as he's had in a long time in the biggest moment ever, and you're still 2-2 and it's barely a storyline because that other guy that came and joined the team is just a world beater and the best basketball player on the planet right now. So I hate that he's getting a pass, and I hate that he's getting a pass because he's got guys like KD and Clay on his team.
Well, and I would also say that I know we alluded to this just a little bit, but look, he's a media darling. He does everything that the media loves. He
knows when to turn on the charm.
Exactly. He brings his child to the post-game press conferences with him. I mean, it's the complete opposite of Russell Westbrook, especially in a post-game presser to the media. So whenever he then has faults, you can say whatever you want. The media members are human beings. They have feelings, and sometimes whenever you feel some way about somebody, you're going to be more likely to jump all over them, as in Russ, because of the way that he's treated you, whereas you're going to give Steph a little bit more of a pass. Again, now they're in the second round. The series is tied, but the point is he's not getting all the criticism, and I think part of that has to do with the fact that everyone just loves him.
You're right. He does know who to suck up to. Guys, I think I'm right. I think I said Golden State in 6, and it looks like that's probably the way it's going to be. But, hey, Houston, give them credit. They are battling tooth and nail against the Warriors, and Golden State just has too much for anybody to beat in a 7-game series.
Yes.
I mean, you could beat them 2. You could even take them to a 7th game. But I think to beat them 4 out of 7 is just almost impossible. Going to go off the beaten path here for just a second. I don't know, did you guys watch Game 3 the other night of the Blazers and Nuggets?
Yes.
The 4-overtime game?
Yes.
I actually was at a concert, but I got home and I watched the very end of regulation. And then I watched overtime period 1, 2, 3, and 4. And I thought, where is this field goal shooting from the Portland
Right?
Trailblazers
I know.
I
for
coulda used
5
that
games?
any night, any
they
night.
missed every wide open shot they could
Gosh.
miss. Now, Denver defended them better, but they also missed some wide open looks. But
Damian
that
Lillard
was,
shot like 47%
You're right.
from 3 against the Thunder.
You're
Yeah,
right.
and couldn't hit one.
But
in
that was
4
a
overtimes.
great playoff game.
Yeah, that's playoff basketball. That was awesome to watch.
Excellent.
And what a cool story, too. Again, C.J. McCollum struggles all game long, then goes off and leads his team in overtime. So that's just an awesome – I've always liked C.J. McCollum as a guy that just doesn't give up on a shot and takes what the game gives him. So I thought that was cool. But, yeah, what a freaking battle. 4 overtimes.
Oh, man. And I kind of just flipped over to it kind of by coincidence.
Yeah.
Same way, Todd, I'd been checking up on it on my phone off and on throughout the night. And then, I don't know, it was late fourth quarter, probably 5 minutes ago, and I flipped it over. I was like, hey, this game's close. Watched it all the way through. And honestly, one of the best just finishes, best battles I've seen in a very long time. It reminded me of those old Oklahoma City Memphis series where both teams are just slugging it out.
Yeah.
You're just waiting for one guy to hit one shot. But every time the other team would seem to answer, they were matched up so well, and it was just fun basketball.
It is time to give Jokic his due.
Yeah.
That guy is a really special player. In fact, he already has 4 triple-doubles in the postseason.
Jeez.
Magic Johnson in a single postseason has 5. That's the NBA record. So
For your first go-round of the playoffs.
I mean, really, really good. The guy's very special. You wonder how he landed in the second round. It's always amazing to look back at the draft and see how players fall where they do.
Oh, man.
One other thought of the NBA playoffs, and then we're going to move on. How about Boston? The Boston Celtics are in big-time trouble. You know, everybody started thinking they're back. They beat Milwaukee in Game 1. I said, no way. Milwaukee is one of 2 teams, in my opinion, that could play with Golden State.
Yes.
And it took them a little bit to adjust. And once they've adjusted, the Greek freaking company have just owned Boston. But I bring this up, KP, because there's a lot of talk that it looks like Kyrie Irving has grown restless again at his second NBA city. If I'm the Boston Celtics, I'm almost to the stage, goodbye. You're the biggest reason that team right now is in a 3-1 hole, Kyrie Irving.
I agree. I mean, his shooting slump isn't helping anybody. He's not getting a lot of help from the other guys. But if you're the Celtics, it's super discouraging because where you were last year, you were a game away from the NBA Finals, and then all you do is add a healthy Gordon Hayward and add a healthy Kyrie Irving, and you still are where you're at. You're about to get just embarrassed by the Bucks. So yeah, if I'm the Celtics, I don't know if I'm happy to see Kyrie leave, but maybe it's the Steelers motto of clean house.
grow
Yes.
very, very tiresome.
Yeah. So I'm kind of curious to see like how this to take it to football, how the Steelers perform this year because they got rid of 2 of their best players, but in their minds, their locker room is better, the chemistry is better, the team is better without these guys. So let's see how they perform. In the Celtics, it might be the same way. I mean, you've got a starting point guard on your bench, so you're okay. He's not no Kyrie, but yeah, I don't think he's coming back next year.
No, I think this is just really what I thought the Bucks were. I mean, kind of all along. I was very skeptical up until about the All-Star break, and then finally was like, okay, yeah, the Bucks are for real, and I'm going to stop pretending that they're not or whatever. They've just been on a tear, and they're one of the best teams in basketball. They are destroying the Celtics. And look, I think Kyrie is out of here. I don't think there's any way. I think you got to just wipe your hands clean of the situation and say, you know what, that was something we tried that didn't work. And I think it's becoming a Kyrie problem. I don't know if he just needs to be the only star whatsoever on a team in for order for him to flourish or what it is. But we've seen he is an incredible player that can play at an elite level on the highest stage. And yet he's, for like you're saying, Todd, for the second straight city now, he's just grown tired of the team, of the organization. And I mean, looks like he's just kind of quit out there on the court.
Well, you know, when he left Cleveland, he wanted to go somewhere to be the man. Well, he really, as much talent as Boston has, is still the man in Boston.
Absolutely.
And now he appears like he doesn't want to be the man anymore.
Right, he looks like he found out how hard it was, and you said, there was a story this season that he called LeBron to apologize for how he was. I wonder, hindsight being 2020, I wonder if he looks back and regrets that decision. He had a pretty, I wouldn't say easy in Cleveland. Playing next to LeBron isn't easy by any means, especially with the media attention. But I'm sure he regrets his decision. But
it's not a bad gig.
I bet you my money's on Kyrie and KD joining up in NYC next year.
All right, we're going to take a break. When we return, we'll talk Thunder injury news. We're also going to talk Kentucky Derby, a little bit of controversy in Louisville this past weekend. I want to remind you again, our fan poll question of the week at VIBELAND Sports on Twitter. Log on, vote. Do you dislike which former Thunder player the most? Is it Kevin Durant or James Harden? We're back to continue Episode 20 in just a moment. This is VIBELAND Sports, a weekly presentation of VIBELAND Media.
Hi, we are VIBELAND. We are a creative network fostering and cultivating growth amongst a community of artists and innovators.
Here at HQ, we inspire young entrepreneurs to pursue their ideas and fulfill their highest ambitions. From producing albums to shooting multimedia content to our involvement with various charitable organizations within our local community, we seek to empower and spread knowledge through open source innovation.
We here at VIBELAND look forward to the future and hope you will join us on this exciting journey. Create, innovate, educate. VIBELAND.
Back inside the VIBELAND Sports Studios, Todd Miller, KP, and Casady Fletcher. It is episode 20. We also need to talk about something that was promised a week ago. And maybe people don't know, but we know. We know we said it, so we'll address it. No new theme music this week, but it is coming. It is coming very, very soon, and we're excited about that. Have some very talented individuals working to give us a fresh sound, if you will.
Absolutely. And going to be debuting that for you guys very soon as we receive that and are able to put that together, working with some of the artists here that we're affiliated with through VIBELAND and For Sleep is for Billionaires, the music side of things around here. So it's a very exciting time, and looking forward to getting some new music and some new bumper music and all kinds of fun stuff for you guys coming your way.
Again, we would love to hear from you. If there's guests you would like for us to try to book, we would love to hear that. If you have a comment, be it good or bad, we'd love to hear that as well. And again, you can tweet us at VIBELAND Sports. And again, no hard feelings. Criticism is welcome. That's the way we all get better. So also, something to look forward to for VIBELAND Sports coming up on Friday. We're excited about this. A bonus pod will drop, and that will feature former University of Oklahoma lineman Ben Powers. What a story he has.
Man. Has
been overlooked, and now he lands with the Baltimore Ravens as the 123rd overall pick in the 4th round. The recently concluded NFL draft. Ben will sit down with us later in the week, and we're going to drop that podcast on Friday.
Baltimore's kind of becoming Norman East out there. They
got a bunch of them.
Picking up all kinds of Sooners.
All right, let's talk about the Kentucky Derby. I will confess that I have been out of town on business and haven't watched much sports lately, but I have seen some replays. Of course, by now I think everybody that cares knows that there was a controversial ending in the Kentucky Derby, and it involved the favorite who actually won the race. He was called for interference. that put a long shot Country House into the number 1 spot. And a lot of money was lost because of that decision. You guys' thoughts, because that's something you rarely see in a Triple Crown race happen.
I can't imagine what the atmosphere was like there. Just the nuts and the insanity and the.
By the way, Maximum Security KP is the horse I'm trying to think of.
Yeah, and Maximum Security crosses the finish line, and I'm sure the owners and the fans and everybody who had money on him was going nuts. I mean, not a high money line. He was kind of the favorite to win the race, so I'm sure everybody's going nuts and going crazy. And then to hear that it's been contested and challenged, I'm sure it's just almost unheard of. But again, like you guys, not a big race watching fan, but I will check out the Kentucky Derby. It's fun. It seems like an interesting social event and sporting event, but it seems to be more of a social event than a sporting event. But all experts that I've heard comment on this, all people that are horse racing people, have basically said that it was the right call. They were just surprised to see it made at that high of a level. So I guess it would kind of liken it to, NBA Finals, guy shooting a 3, and they're down by 2. Defender slaps his hand. Well, it's the right call, but do you call it in this moment, kind of thing? So again, like I said, everybody seemed to agree with the call. I watched it in slow motion. I watched the announcers talk about it, and again, I don't watch a lot of horse racing, but to me, the casual fan, it didn't look like much. But apparently, to all experts, they said it was. I don't think I heard the word egregious, but they said it was obvious and the right call was made. But again, just watching it, the casual fan with the casual eye, didn't look like much but racing to me. But it's horse racing isn't what's the phrase in NASCAR? If you ain't bumping and riding, I'm sure I just upset a bunch of NASCAR fans. But no, if you're rubbing, if you ain't rubbing, you ain't racing. That's what it is. Okay, there we go. If you ain't rubbing, you ain't racing. Well, I don't think the same thing goes in horse racing, but that appears to be what it was. So apparently the right call was made, guys. I don't know. It's an interesting controversy.
Yeah, it was such a strange just afternoon. I remember the timeline of all of it was just so weird. Saw the race, didn't think anything else of it. 5 minutes later, whatever it was, I'm scrolling through Twitter and I see there's been an complaint filed or an objection filed, and nothing is finalized yet. So I thought, oh, well, that's probably just some kind of formality, no big deal. And then I just start getting peppered with all these alerts. Correction, it's not maximum security. He's disqualified. I immediately started trying to find clips of it. I watched it over and over, just like you, Kelby. And I mean, I see where he looks like he just kind of cut off another horse, but it looks like they do that all the time. So I don't know. I'm not enough of a technical expert to say one way or the other. If it's the right call, if you make it in any other race, then yes, it should also be applied here. It's just so wild that after 140 something runnings of the Kentucky Derby, for the first time in history, the winner was disqualified.
I'm going to tell you, that's something that happens to yours truly. If I'm sitting there with like a trifecta box or a trifecta or pick the winner of a race, I'm sitting there jumping for joy near the finish line, and they come on over the public address system and said, hold all tickets. We have a challenge.
Wow. I can't imagine, like I said, the atmosphere there. Like, I remember being at places and the gasps that you hear. I'm sure that after a sentence like that, a phrase like that, an event like that, hold all tickets, there's been a contest. I can't believe it. That's unreal.
You know, I think I read that it cost people $9 million. I would have actually thought it might have been a little bit more than that by the change of the race outcome. But anyway, Country Horse wins the Kentucky Derby. And there is a little bit of late-breaking news, if you will. Country House will not run in the Preakness. It's the first time in 23 years that the Kentucky Derby winner will not compete in that event. The Daily Racing Form is the first to report that he is out at Pimlico in Baltimore. They have confirmed the news, and apparently he is sick. He's getting sick. His appetite is good. He doesn't have a fever, but he's coughed quite a bit. And so he is out, and that will mark the first time since 1996 that the Derby winner has not taken part in the Preakness. The last one was Grindstone. He was retired 5 days after winning the 96 Derby with a knee injury. So
wow.
How about that?
No Triple Crown.
No, No, it's already done. How about that? A controversial win, and then you
Right.
can't even follow it up because of the illness.
Well, and
So,
I've seen that Maximum Security, his owner has said that he will also not be held out of the.
For not the same reason, but I heard there's not a shot at the Triple Crown, so why do it?
Yeah, he's also being held out of the Preakness, and obviously he's filed a complaint against the Kentucky Derby, trying to get those results back to reverse or what. I don't know what he's trying to do. There's a lawsuit up in the air, and I think he's just mad at horse racing in general right now, trying to cause a ruckus, and I don't blame him. I would be very upset too if that happened. It's just one of the most bizarre endings to a sporting event that I've seen in a very long time.
all right, guys, one more topic we're going to address this week, and that involves injuries to the Oklahoma City Thunder superstars. I think we've all known that Russell Westbrook has not been 100% for a long time. The way he plays, his body has more wear and tear on it than you can possibly imagine. And everyone knew that Paul George was hurt with those shoulders. And they were bothering him a lot more than he put on. Well, KP, we now find out how severe it was that he is not having one, but two different procedures on his shoulders.
Yeah, and didn't we say at the end of this year, I said, hey, here we'll be in 48 hours. We'll get the alert that says Paul George underwent a procedure, but
Missed it by a week or two.
missed it by a week
but
or
still
two.
pretty
But
close.
hey, let him relax a little bit. I get it. I agree that I like that he's getting it done now. But yeah, it just goes to show you. I mean, we all knew there was something up with him, but I just have even more respect for the guy that he was able to play as well and as hard as he did. I mean, we wouldn't say he played well, but knowing that he had two messed up shoulders, he's about to have procedures on both of those. Man, what a gritty performance there at the end of the season. But guys, I'll be honest, it makes me a little nervous that shoulder is going to be worked on. They said the earliest he's going to be back is mid preseason.
Ooh.
So that means Paul George is not going to be shooting a basketball until the NBA season starts. So as Thunder fans, we probably need to say it right now. Let's temper our expectations for the start of next season. It's going to be a slow and rough start, but it's how we pick up and continue. And hopefully PG gets his rhythm and doesn't find a slump like he did this year. But obviously the slump, you could definitely attribute it to the shoulder injuries. But he was hot up until the All-Star break and really slumped there at the end. So hopefully let's have that slump at the beginning of the season, pick up the pace, and you're hot come playoff time.
Yeah, just flip the script from this previous season.
That easy.
Yeah, start off slow and then build momentum until, April, May, June, when you're going to really need to be at the top of your game. So.
Here's what PG is facing with his not one, but two shoulder surgeries. They are going to repair a rotator cuff injury that is partially torn in his right shoulder, and then the second will go in and correct a labrum that is torn in his left shoulder. I don't know about you guys, but that makes my shoulders hurt just thinking about it.
Yeah, I didn't have.
Let alone the
Philippines
wear and
until
tear
now.
of going out and playing 82 plus 87 games.
Man,
Yeah.
Wow.
that's
No thanks.
a lot of stress and strain on those shoulders. And look, we've known that it's been bothering him for a couple of seasons now. And again, I'm just glad that we're finally seeing these procedures done in May instead of like July, like it always seems to happen. July, August, that's when every Thunder player seems to have all their surgeries, and it puts them out until like sometimes November or December. They miss the beginning of the season or preseason or whatever it is. They just don't get to prepare coming in. And then we see that have effects throughout the rest of the season. They don't have their stamina built up, so they can't play as many minutes. And then it's just a snowball from there. So getting this out of the way now is a positive.
We all knew PG was hurt. We all knew he was hurt a lot worse than he and the Thunder let on. Russ, we knew he was hurt too. Now, the knee scope is just something I think he's going to have every year. And then, you remember him hurting the finger late in the season. Well, he's going to have a torn ligament in his left finger, or a finger on his left hand repaired. So, wow, the top two guys going to take the Thunder insurance company to the bank.
Yeah, going to be on the mend for, it sounds like, most of the summer.
Yeah, no, I'm okay with just do it now. Let's get it cleaned up. Russell, he's gotten some criticism before for the the knee and people. I mean, there's a certain radio host here in Oklahoma City that comes on at 2:00 that was really critical of him this year and saying it's something to worry about, these knee procedures. Well, let's be real. He's had these knee procedures done. They're cleanups. He has missed 2 games because of his knee injuries and the recent years. And those 2 games were the first 2 games of this.
But it is a concern, guys, because of the wear and tear of the way he plays the game. Not every NBA player has off-season knee surgery stuff cleaned up every year. So there is a reason, especially with the amount of money that Westbrook is going to continue to command, and Paul George. I mean, let's hope this isn't something that becomes chronic too, because you have 2 huge contracts now on the books still for the next 3 years with those guys.
And to me, cleanups is more of a preventative. It's a, hey, it's so we don't have to do something later. So to me, it's just
I agree, but I also can see where he's coming from.
Yeah.
That I mean, after a while, there's obviously something wrong or you don't just go clean things up.
Right.
Not everybody in the NBA has their knees cleaned up. But I agree with you. Let's be proactive and not reactive, and let's get it done early. And it's just something. I mean, Russ's body's going to break down quicker than most people just because of the way he plays the game.
I mean, the guy is just a human pinball
Yep.
in the lane, taking all kinds of contact. He plays a speed faster than anybody else consistently in the league that I've ever seen. You just can't continue to put your body through that 80-plus games a season, year in and year out. Also playing for Team USA in the summers at times. Right. I mean, he hardly ever gets a break from basketball, and there's going to be things like this that have to happen. I'm not necessarily worried about the knee. It's good to get his hand fixed and good to go and everything. It's his non-shooting hand, so I don't expect it to, keep him out from too much. But with these knee procedures, I'm not going to be surprised if for the next 3 or 4 years, we hear about Russ in the offseason continuing to have these cleanup procedures.
Agreed. And I mean, where the Thunder are at right now, guys, I mean, it's Russell's got his finger and knee worked on. PG's got both shoulders worked on. Andre's going to be coming off his injury. And, Steven Adams, I just hope that they have him frozen cryogenically and have him in a hyperbaric chamber. Just that. We haven't heard anything from his camp yet, but, I mean, he's clearly was banged up this year too. So I hope that he gets right and healthy, and if he's still on the roster.
Right.
But
either way, if he's healthy, he's easier to trade.
Or maybe the Thunder just like, we can only give you 2 surgeries in one day. Maybe we'll hear about Steven in the next few days.
Well, if you guys care, I have a cranky left shoulder too that I'm afraid to get evaluated because who knows what's in there too. But mine is certainly not because of physical activity.
It's not because you're raining wet threes.
That's exactly right. All right, we'll be back to wrap up episode 20 of VIBELAND Sports in just a moment. Welcome back to our final segment of episode 20 of VIBELAND Sports. So glad to have you along. Again, some house cleaning duties. Don't forget our fan poll question of the week. If it sounds familiar, it should be, but there was problems getting it posted, so we're going to go ahead and offer it to you again. It's still just as timely as it was last week. Which former Thunder player do you dislike more? Is it Kevin Durant or is it James Harden? Log on to @VIBELAND Sports on Twitter. Cast your vote. That should draw quite a bit of traffic, I would think, and I think we all know how that may break. Also, don't forget, again, coming up on Friday, a bonus podcast will drop of VIBELAND Sports. I'll be visiting with former University of Oklahoma lineman Ben Powers. He was recently selected in the 4th round, 123rd pick overall, one of 4 offensive linemen that blocked for Kyler Murray last year for the Sooners that were taken in last month's NFL draft. So looking forward to that interview. And any of you guys have anything else? Wise pearls of wisdom as parting words.
I got nothing other than I got to give a quick shout out to my wife, Rashika. She is graduating with her master's degree this weekend from OU Health Sciences. So she has worked her butt off the last 2 years in grad school, and it is all coming to a sweet, sweet end. And also got to give a shout out to me because I just got a pay raise.
Hey,
because wife's going
on this podcast.
Wife's going to work and no more tuition. So,
heck yeah, man!
Everything's looking up at the Peterson house.
How about that? Hey, by the way, did you catch any fish the other day?
No, I did not.
I just don't see this guy as a fisherman. Do you?
I don't know. I could see him being.
I like
pulling
to fish.
Decent
The-
fish out
the
of there.
Catching is the
I
hard
mean, I
part.
could see him fishing, but he's like, I think really serious about it.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
I went and got me a new old kayak this week, and I'm really excited about it. I've been researching it for about 13 months or so. Finally found a deal that I couldn't pass up.
Well, I
and,
tell you what,
drove
the
8
first
hours to
time
go
you
get it.
capsize that kayak, we will start to go to video on this podcast.
Oh yeah.
The world will want to see that.
Good
Please
luck.
live stream that.
Hey, good luck. I did my research. This thing's got dual flotation devices in it. That I need a
You
rhino.
can afford a kayak
I
now.
need a rhino on there to tip that.
You got a
thing.
pay raise. You can afford a kayak.
I'm not going anywhere on that.
Well, I was just gonna say too. Got a chance for the first time in 2019 to get out to the golf course.
Oh, there we go.
today. So, you know,
Where'd you play?
Hit 'em
a lot
straight.
of fun. Went out to the links, just a real small 9-hole course. Look, the way I was playing, the way we were all playing, probably for the best that we were out there. Got out there early in the morning, and that way nobody could see us hacking it around. But it was a lot of fun.
You got to
and
get
I've
those
got the
first swings
itch.
out. So,
Oh, yeah.
might as well go do it on a 9-hole links golf course.
I'm ready to get back out there right now. I don't care. It's dark outside for
And-
those that are
and
listening.
under a thunderstorm watch and tornado watch.
Hey, you know what? If the course is open, I'll just grab a headlight.
All right, that's going to wrap up episode 20. Want to thank you for tuning in. Hope you will follow us and continue to follow us if you haven't subscribed Apple Podcast or Spotify, and do so on Facebook at VIBELAND Sports, at VIBELAND Sports on Twitter and Instagram as well. And never miss a moment of what's coming up from VIBELAND Sports. For KP, for Casady, I'm Todd Miller. We'll see you again next week for episode 21 of VIBELAND Sports, a weekly presentation of VIBELAND Media.